investigation into yourself. Can't think about anything else.
So give me a little brief lowdown on the making of the record and why it's here and now and how.
Yeah. Well, it took a while. We started writing this album when my husband and I still lived in New York. So we started writing there probably around 2016.
Uh-huh.
And then we moved back to Los Angeles, and I just started writing a bunch once we moved back here.
It's a big move.
What?
That's a big move from New York to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles, but we just moved for 4 years to New York and put together a lineup out there and recorded an album and
right.
Yeah. So and then I just started writing like feverishly when I moved out here because I had so much time on my hands, which was great because back in New York we were kind of like gigging every week and not really writing new stuff.
Right.
So it was just a great time to kind of sit down and hone in on these songs that are on the album. So that's kind of how we started. And actually Gary, my husband, heard the two songs that we wrote in New York, Shannon Soderlund and I, and he was really excited for to start writing the next album. So that's kind of the spark that, the catalyst that kind of threw us into writing this new album.
Okay.
Yeah.
And whereabouts how was it recorded? Were you in a studio?
Oh,
were
yeah.
you working at home? How did it happen?
Well, we're kind of like a bi-coastal band. So most of it was recorded in New York at Tom Gardner's studio called Rift Studios, New York. And we had worked on our previous record with him, and we loved what he did. And he's a Grammy-nominated engineer, and he's amazing.
Right.
So we visited New York one summer before the pandemic and started tracking the songs on the album. I think it took 2 days to get. I think we got like 15 songs down, or 11 songs. And then I kind of went back to New York a few times in between to record some more stuff. But I ended up recording out in Los Angeles, out here, for vocals, and the harpist, Mary Lattimore, lives out here, so she recorded out here. Who else? Organ and piano and the strings. So that was all done here at Pierre de Reeder, from Rilo Kiley, his studio, called 64 Sound. So, yeah, it was kind of a lot because we had to go back and forth, but
yeah,
it ended up working out, especially like during the pandemic. We had downtime to mix, and so we just mixed. We sent everything to Tom in New York, and he, would send us mixes back, and we would listen and then get online and kind of like mix with him live. So that was interesting, but really fun. I mean, technology is amazing, like the way
I know
how far we've come.
yes, indeed. So, did the technology, do you think, affect the way the record sounds? Did it have an impact on what you did?
I don't know. I mean, I guess in some ways, yes, but we did most of it live, so it's not like, we're not using like synths. We're not an electronic band, so digitally in that way, there's none of that. So, but I feel like without being able to talk and send things back via email, that it would have been impossible because I would have had to keep flying out there and just doing everything in person. And that's not feasible. So I don't think it really affected the sound of the album, though, in any way.
And so you mentioned Tom was engineering it. Did he also produce? I mean, and if he did, I mean, what was his role? How did you work together with him?
Yeah, Gary and Tom kind of worked closely with what they wanted this record to sound like, and I sprinkled in. We're a very collaborative band, and all the musicians on this album are professional musicians that are in the band, and but they have say. So I think it was just a collaborative effort between us all. Like, hey, try that. Like, that sounds great. But yes, Tom kind of acted as the producer. So he would suggest things, and
Okay.
kind of went from there.
You mentioned Mary Lattimore. She plays on a song called Scared to Move, I believe. So
Yeah.
how did you get her involved? And tell me a little bit about the song, if you don't mind.
Are you lonesome tonight? We can turn down the lights. I know you're scared to love. Feels like you've lost before.
Yeah, that was such a lucky break to get her to play on her album. We didn't know her,
Right.
and Pierre actually asked around to his network of people asking if anyone knew a harpist, and she was recommended, and she came in, and she's this very sweet, wonderful artist that like we were like, oh my gosh, is this real? So that was very lucky. And the song "Scared to Move" is actually about like a new relationship, like new beginnings. And it's kind of like a female perspective take on a new beginning, like going slow for the man, like feeling awkward in intimate situations and kind of like taking it slow and coaxing that person kind of out of their shell a little bit. So we wanted to like bend the rules because usually you hear that from men, but
Right.
this
Yep.
is
Yes.
a female perspective. So, but we definitely went in. Gary suggested using harp on that song, and I was like, okay, great, let's try it. And I think it turned out magical, but we kind of hear it as this. We put it right in the middle of the album. We wanted it to kind of be a palate cleanser with all
Yeah.
the like guitar heavy songs. And it, to me, it's kind of like a dream sequence, like in an old musical where people are dancing around and you're like, what is this? But I love it. And I'm such a musical theater fan that I like, that's like what I kind of saw this song as. And it just turned into this great piece of art that like, that's the first song I play for people. Cause I just like,
Right. Right.
so beautiful.
Do you see yourself doing a music video for the song?
Yeah, actually, we are in the process of making a music video right now with an amazing animator, and I'm so excited. We don't have the draft back yet, but
Right.
we should get it soon. So, yeah,
You
I'm
do
very
have a
excited.
video for Wreck Cut Loose. So how involved were you in the making of that?
I've been listening to old country songs. I've been drinking real good now. Everything's soft and still. I'm a wreck cut loose.
Yeah, our friend Kyle, we hired him to put together the video, and he kind of, all of us came up with the concept of like walking down the street after being dumped, and kind of like how crappy you would feel, but then encountering a bunch of people you know on the walk home, and
Right.
being like kind of like, oh, it's comforting, but then all you want to do is just get home and sit down on your couch and cry. That was
Right.
kind of the concept.
Yeah.
So, but it actually turned out to be this. We did it right when LA kind of opened up with pandemic restrictions, so a few of our friends were able to come out and be in it, and I'm so grateful for that. But it kind of turned into this healing video almost, because we have been so segregated during
Right.
the pandemic that, yeah, just watching the video, like some people were texting me when it came out, like, I've been crying all day watching this, because it's like, it is like a collective group hug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
It looks
just
like
wanted-
was it all shot in one take? Did you do many
Yeah.
takes, or was that like the first one?
Yeah, we shot everything in one take, which was a feat for Kyle, the director, who was carrying this heavy pack on his back, walking backwards. But we did it probably around 6 times, practice-wise, 6 or 7 times. But yeah, very happy with how it turned out.
So there's 11 tracks on the album. Starts with Walking on Water, ends with The Flood. Do you think in terms of the one song following another, how much time and thought was spent in the order of the songs on the record?
Oh, that's always like a painstaking part of the process. It's like the very last thing you do, but it's so important, I think.
Right?
And I think there were definitely times when we're like, oh, we should move this here. There's so many ways you can do it. There's so many ways you can present a work, a piece of art, and you know, any way is right. Um,
Yep.
but I think we saw like we knew Scared to Move had to be in the middle, and we
Right.
knew Walking on Water had to start it, and that The Flood should end it. So we kind of just like placed, and then we're getting vinyl made, so we kind of wanted to have like a front, an A side and a B side, and we thought Secret was great to start the B side. So
Uh-huh.
that's like right after Scared to Move. It comes in with like the poppy rock vibes. I don't know. We definitely worked many hours on that track listing, but I think what it is ultimately came out really nice.
Yeah.
So
So you got vinyl being pressed,
yes, yeah. We have a company in France that's doing the pressing. It's a very limited number.
right?
I think we're doing like 100, a run of 100. So it's very limited, but it's the first time we've had vinyl made of anything, and I'm very excited.
Sure. Yeah, that is exciting. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people have been having to postpone their release dates because it's been hard to get the vinyl pressed in time because
Oh yeah, yeah.
nobody.
Ours won't come until February, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like we'll post about it when it comes. But I see that vinyl wall behind you. That's very
Oh, yeah.
cool.
I got a few records. I'm sorry.
Just a few.
Got carried away, I'm afraid.
I do too. I love collecting vinyl, and we have a pretty awesome,
Oh,
collection downstairs.
cool, cool, cool. So are you doing a gig tomorrow when the record's out? I can't remember if you said.
No, this is the weirdest. I mean, the weirdest time. um, I did a full band gig here in Los Angeles last month at Hotel Cafe, and
Right.
it just kind of turned into a full band gig because my drummer actually was texted me randomly, I'm going to be in town, so I got him to be in the show, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I put together a LA lineup, and then I just played a show on Tuesday of this week at Highland Park Bowl. It was just a duo set. So
Right.
we don't have any shows on the books coming up, but I'm, hopeful that 2022 we can start doing more full band shows here.
Yeah. Is that COVID related, the reason that you don't have shows or other reasons?
Yeah, I think it is. When LA first opened up, everyone was like scrambling to get shows on the books, and we were just in a queue, and people also had to like, I guess, rebook the shows from when COVID shut them down. So it was
Yep.
just kind of like a waiting list of getting on these places or getting under the radar. Um, and yeah, we ended up getting a great gig at Hotel Cafe, but yeah, I wanna play more. I love playing. I want to go on tour.
Right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So when you do play out, what kind of connection do you have with your fans? Do they come up to you and talk to you about the songs or?
Yeah, I think so. I think people, I mean, from what I've heard after the show on Tuesday, people were resonating with what they were hearing. Um, I mean, I definitely love talking to fans. If they're enjoying the music, come and chat with me. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a weird time right now. Like you don't. I think people are just like hesitant with COVID, and yeah.
And of course, you and Gary are a married couple, so
Yes. Yeah.
that must have other kinds of ramifications built into being a creative couple as well, and being in a band together and writing these songs. So, what
Yeah.
kind of unique things does it entail?
I think for us, I mean, it really works for us. Gary doesn't play in the band. He plays guitar, but he doesn't feel comfortable playing live for people at the
Right.
moment.
Okay.
But he's an amazing lyricist, so I basically will write a song, give it to him, and he'll kind of edit. He's like my copy editor in
All
a
right.
lot of ways. And I just really appreciate having him. He's also like the behind the scenes like manager in some ways. He's suggests things and did production on the album, and yeah, he's definitely invested very much so. These are his babies as well as mine. But
Right.
writing together is interesting. I'm more of a collaborative writer. I will, sit down with someone and just write, and get it all out on the page. And he really loves to work alone. So that's why I will write a song, give it to him, and then he'll kind of like mull it over and really fine tooth, comb every line. So, and we're like big on lyrics. I think the two of us are I think that's the most important part of a song. And I think a lot of times, especially now with so much music coming out, I think a lot of music doesn't pay as much attention to the lyrics. I think it's an art form, and if done right, it's like very special.
And do you have kind of lyricists and songwriters or poets or whatever that you kind of look to as inspiration?
Do I? I mean, Hank Williams is always someone that I go to. I mean, no one could have written a sadder song than Hank, but beautiful, but sad. Patty Griffin is this just, oh my God. Like her music I cannot listen or sing her songs like Poor Man's House or Sweet Lorraine without crying. Like I am in the car bawling my eye, and I've heard them millions of times, but I still cry to this day because that's just like what she does. She's very special. Like as a lyricist, like she really knows how to just like get in there.
Get in there, yeah. All right. And so did you know, were you always convinced that you were going to be a musician, a songwriter, or is this a relatively new thing for you?
I think so. I always wanted to be a singer, and I've been singing since I was probably since I was in the womb. I was, however that happened. I don't know how that could happen, but I'm from a musical family, and my like parents met in a folk group in high school, and my grandparents met while they were in college, and like my grandmother was a concert pianist and vocalist, and my grandfather studied opera, and like so I have that in my blood. I think, and it's surprising because I'm the only one that kind of pursued that career direction out of all of my family. And my dad is a songwriter, and he had a band growing up, and I think I just kind of took to it really early, and I didn't actually start writing songs until I was a little bit older. Like I feel like I'm kind of a late bloomer songwriting wise. I think I was just really not confident.
Right.
I vocally I felt confident, but yeah, as a songwriter it took me a while, and now I'm kind of like I feel like I'm in my stride, and I
Because I
write
guess
a lot of songs.
If you can sing, you can sing. You know that you can kind of sing on key, and you have a feel for it and whatever, and it becomes fairly obvious fairly quickly. But songwriting is a different kettle of fish, so to speak.
It is, yeah. And I got a banjo for my 30th birthday, and that kind of opened up like just a songwriting avenue that I never knew existed, and it just like really inspired me. So I feel like I'm really grateful for getting my banjo and kind of just messing around on it. Like I'm not great at it at all, like playing wise, but it does what it needs to do. And I love taking the banjo, which is just a happy instrument, and kind of making it a little bit sad sounding, which I don't know.
Is that what we hear on Walking on Water? Is that your banjo?
I've been walking on water, wasting all my time. I've been calling your daughters, waiting on the line.
I am playing on Walking on Water and Runaway. We did get our friend Bert to play on Control, and he's this amazing banjoist that I'm just like, can I play like you? But it worked out for the two songs that I'm on the album. They're a bit more meandering in some ways.
And are you if you were touring, would you be taking the banjo on the road?
Probably, yes. I mean, definitely, because I could in downtime write if I needed to. So yeah. I
don't think I've ever heard of anybody writing on the banjo. I'm sure it happens, but you hear I either wrote on the piano or the guitar, but never the banjo. That's interesting.
Yeah. I play piano. I play a little piano and a little guitar, and I do write on those instruments as well. And I write a cappella songs like vocally. Like
Right.
"Hurt Her So" and "Control" were both written completely a cappella. So I have demos of me doing complete a cappella versions, and that was what we took to the band to be like, here, play this. So I couldn't actually play them on an instrument until recently, which I think is funny.
Fair enough.
I wrote them, but I couldn't play them.
Very good. Well, thank you for taking time to talk to me. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Marty.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.